So, what do you make of it all?
Well, so I think that first of all, I want to just point out Grim is fucking nuts, and he has been for a while. And I think that um, Counterstrike being online right now adds this weird dynamic where I'm not saying Grim is bad on LAN. I've never played with Grim on LAN. But let's just say if the Counter-Strike calendar was in its normal state, if COVID didn't exist, this move doesn't happen right now. All right. It just doesn't. And that's and I know Mikey Grimm is watching, or if he ever sees this clip or hears this or whatever the fuck. I'm not talking shit about Grim at all. He knows how good I think he is. I think he is legitimately a world-class fucking talent. Him and Snakes, when I played with them in Space Station, those two guys were insane. Natural talent out of the fucking world.
Yeah, remember that Snakes kid. What the fuck's he doing now?
Honestly, Rich, I don't know.
Okay.
But
no sorry, I'll let you continue. I'll stop interrupting.
Yeah, no, he's got no. Please feel free to interrupt. I enjoy it.
Right.
I'm fucked like that.
Yeah.
But like those two kids are just natural talents. And I remember when I was playing with them on Space Station, and this was at the point where like I knew like physically I was not capable of playing for much longer. My tendonitis was out of control, and I was just like, we just need to work on fucking professionalism with these kids. Like, no showing up late to practice, none of this shit. And this kid was insane. And I'm so happy for him that he gets this chance. I really am. I'm super fucking happy for him. And I hope he takes full advantage of it and he just destroys shit on Liquid. But that being said, I don't think this move makes any fucking sense in removing Nitro. But I think that the signs of this have been ongoing for months. I think that when you bring Stewie into a team, inevitably he has this and I don't think it's conscious, I think it's subconscious. He has this like subconscious leadership thing that goes on with him where he's like a natural leader where people just like want to follow him and do his style of plays and his things, and he just sort of takes over a team just by being on the team. I don't think he's actively doing it. I don't think it's like he's sabotaging anything, but I think that he just sort of naturally takes over a team with his play style, his personality, the way that he behaves. And I think that by doing that, inevitably in-game leaders, whenever Stewie gets picked up to a team over however many months, in-game leaders just get replaced. It's a common trend on teams that he joins, that he plays for. The in-game leader ends up taking over as in-game leader, and then in-game leader gets replaced. And it's been a common trend.
I've talked about. I've seen that mentality like manifest itself in the types of plays he makes in game. Like if you remember, whenever Team Liquid would be behind, one of the things that would sort of precipitate them getting smashed and it being like a 16-4 instead of a 16-8 or a 16-10 would be Stewie would start making these like hyper aggressive plays, like just trying to create chaos and like make something happen, which is the right idea. But more often than not, when you're playing against top tier opposition, they just have a read on it now, especially as it's what he's known for. And these teams are too good. You're gonna have to work very hard to like trick them or fool them or catch them out or make a play that they can't anticipate. But like it's that desire to be the guy that turns the game around. So it's like it's a healthy mentality. It's like a Kobe Bryant style mentality, right? But like give me the ball, just keep giving me the ball. I don't care if I miss. Give me the ball. I'm gonna keep going until I put something in the basket. But with Stewie, unfortunately, in Liquid, it wasn't kind of working out. So that leadership mentality also manifests itself in the way that he plays. But yeah, I never really thought about what it might do to a team and if it had a potentially corrosive effect, just by it existing and you trying to be an in-game leader around that or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it's conscious. Like, I don't think he's actively trying to, like, when he goes into a team, I don't think he's trying to take over leadership of the team. Like, I really don't think that's the case. I think that it's almost like a subconscious thing where just his personality, people naturally, like other players on the team naturally tend to like fall into the similar tendencies and fall into his style of play and his style of things. And this isn't me like dumping shit onto Stewie either. I don't think this is I'm not saying this is his fault. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm not saying it's a good move. I'm just saying it's a consistent thing that tends to happen with Stewie teams. And it's the same thing with Cloud9, right? When you look at Cloud9, when Stewie, he becomes the in-game leader, and they're super inconsistent. They are, like, without a doubt, they're inconsistent. And so they end up winning a major. And it's like, oh my God, this team just won a fucking major. And Tarek was the quote unquote in-game leader. Stewie was around, and then the team breaks up right after that. And it's like, why? Why is this? If you just won a major, you should be one of the best teams in the world. Why is the team now breaking up? Right. And I think that's because they acknowledge the fact that, like, this was kind of a fluke, right? This was kind of a thing that shouldn't have necessarily happened. And I think that now what we're going to see from this Liquid team is we're going to see a lot of hot and cold, especially in this online era of Counterstrike, which I think has fucked everything up. And I reiterate this point that if this wasn't an online era of Counterstrike, I don't think this move happens. I think because everything's going on online right now, and that has given a platform for Grim to show how good he is. Because a lot of times with these LANs and how the rankings work, you don't even get the chance to go to the LANs and prove yourself anymore. If you're not a top team, you don't even get the chance to go to LANs anymore. LANs don't exist unless you're one of the top teams right now in the current landscape of CS, which I think is super unfortunate. But like I know, given way back when, like even like 4 or 5 years ago, if the LANs, if it was set up how it is now, most tier 2 teams would have never even got to go to LANs. If you're from NA anyways, right now, if you're a North American team right now, ignoring COVID, even before COVID happened, if you're a North American team, the chances of you qualifying for a LAN event are so fucking low. You have to be one of the top teams to even get the chance to go to LAN events as a North American team. And so I think that, well, I actually love the fact that Grim gets a chance on a top team. I don't think it's fair that Nitro is the one who has to bite the bullet on this one.
But what would the alternative look like?
Well, see, okay, so what the alternative is, if you have to pick up Grim, the Team Liquid, it's tough. It's fun. No, it's a valid question. It is, because it's hard to say, well, if you're not going to cut Nitro, who are you going to cut? When realistically the answer is you don't fucking cut anyone, because everything's online right now. Why are you cutting anybody? Right.
Well, yeah. So that was
the reasonable.
That was what I said right at the top of the show, where it was like I honestly thought they wouldn't cut anyone till they had like flopped at a LAN. Like once we'd got out of the online era and back to LAN, if they went and flopped at the first LAN back, then yeah, you look at making a roster change. I mean, that's what I said. I think there really isn't any need to rock the boat before that, because there is a massive caveat. Plus, we just had a fucking game-breaking bug fixed that's been around for certainly all the period of the online era, let's say.
Oh God.
Did you not see that about the smokes?
No, I fucking saw it.
Yeah. Well, let's be real. Like, do you trust that no pros have been using that? It's completely undetectable. It's completely unhackable.
All pros are completely perfect humans who would never do anything like that. Everybody is incredibly honorable, and I have never witnessed anything in my entire career that would demonstrate any professional Counter-Strike player being dishonorable or not sportsmanlike in any way.
My experience.
Fucking joke, by the way. They're goddamn scumbags, all of them.
My experience has always been, right, and I'm sure this is yours too, that this is what happens when a exploit that is essentially a cheat is being circulated throughout Counter-Strike, and it reaches the upper echelons to the point where the pros get it. It's very rare the pros discover these things. Pros are very set in their ways and tend not to experiment. But they know what they like. Whereas, but if they hear about something, they'll certainly give it a go and assimilate it into their play. And generally what tends to happen is it starts with, oh, have you seen this bug? Wow, smokes disappear. Yeah, that's cheating. That's why we lost that game. Yeah, you're right. I remember that team did beat us with all those headshots. Guess they're using it. Well, we may as well fucking use it too, right? If everyone's using it. And it's this slow, like, they convince themselves that it's okay for them to use the exploit. I mean, think about it this way. it's undoubted, it's unquestionable to me that some pros have been using this in my mind, just knowing what we know. And yet, it definitely took a lot longer to get to Valve than it should. And let's put that framework in context. Face It were banning people for it, and they said they banned over 1,100 players. I'm guessing at that point, that is where Valve became aware of it. I don't think I was the ones that tipped Valve off, but I popularized it in a video, and then 24 hours after that, it's gone. It's removed from the game. People have been telling me this has at least been in the game for 2 years in some cases. People are telling me it's been in for longer, but they're wrong. That was a different bug entirely. So how long have pros been sat on this for? And the madness is the pros are the ones that complain about cheating.
Well, I think, weirdly enough for me in my career, I was far enough down the tier list that I would find out about shit late. Like I would be on the teams that like, oh, this team's been abusing this for X amount of months. We were like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Why did nobody tell us about this? Oh, we're not popular enough to have the random person on Twitter DM us and say, hey, you should use this to win all your games. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, that was the shit. And that shit happened all the time. That shit happened all the time because, and it's not, and what's fucked up about it is from my own perspective, it's like, I don't even blame them for it. I don't like from a competitor standpoint, if there is a bug in the game and the people who made the game refuse to fix it, why the fuck would you not use it to win the game? If the people you're playing against could also be using it and you don't know if they are or aren't, you have to assume that they are because you have to assume the worst, right? So you have to assume that they're using it. And because of that, you then have to use it yourself, because if you don't, you're at a disadvantage now. And so I understand it, even though I disagree with it. I understand it completely.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, yeah. So anyway, I mean, for me, to put that in the context of what we're talking about, the online era of Counterstrike has a massive asterisk next to it. It always did anyway, but now more so than ever, right? Because I'm not saying any of the teams that have had that explosive growth have suddenly been using this and been able to get away with it. And there's certainly some tournaments like it's online, but there's like admins there. They're playing in an online environment, but in a hotel essentially, or in an office room or whatever. But some are just online and you're just at home and it's just your home setup. And that's always been a massive question mark about, it's very easy to perform at home when everything is exactly as you want it. Your desk's big enough, your space is big enough. Your mummy can bring you in a cup of fucking milky tea and a biscuit. Right?
Look, I'm a fucking huge fan of the big guys. I have been friends with Tabson for years. I have been a proponent of Xantares for years. If anyone out there thinks that Big would have been this good in the LAN era of CS, and they would be the number one ranked team in the world.
No, of course not.
Online right now, you're out of your fucking mind.
No.
And that is nothing against the big guys, because they're this is just the situation everybody finds themselves in. If everything's going to be online, you might, it's not like you're trying less or trying more. They're just trying to win every fucking game as they would have been anyways. But the fact that everything is online right now has clearly helped them to be number one in the world. I think to say they're number one in the world right now, and deservedly so. But like you said, everything online right now, there's an asterisk next to all of it. There just has to be. Has to be.
So I'm surprised to see roster changes kind of in general at this time, unless it's necessity.
Especially if you're Liquid.
Yeah,
right.
If you're a top team, it makes zero sense. I mean,
zero sense.
Yeah. So I definitely agree with you on that. Who's going to take over as in-game leader then, do you think? Will it be Stewie?
It's going to be Stewie. You watch. It's going to be Stewie. 100%. I'm telling you, he just has this natural leadership thing about him. Maybe you were that guy in school. Maybe you knew that guy in school. There was just a guy in your class or that you played rugby with or whatever, football with, or you're just like, you just wanted to follow.
Yeah,
that guy.
People are saying Stewie already was the IGL, which is fucked up. I guess that really cuts Nitro off at the fucking knees. I mean,
wait, is that public knowledge that Stewie was already the IGL, or is this just rumors?
No, that's what people are saying in the chat. Apparently, he's been IGLing since May, according to. I trust my chat; they're generally well informed. Sometimes some of them are real hardcore nerds about that shit.
If it's officially acknowledged that he had said he was the IGL, then I can tell you, going back to months and months and months ago, talking to him, at a LAN event when he was like, yeah, no, I'm doing most of the calling anyways. And I was thinking at the time, I was like, that's weird. Like, I thought Nitro was the IGL, but if that's been like officially like stated,
Banks also just messaged and said he has it on interview. Like,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
So,
then. Yeah. Okay, then I'm comfortable talking about it if it's been officially announced. Then so that's been like a thing for a while now. So I'm not surprised that this has been like a thing that's just been in the works.
Yeah,
this has just been a thing that's been in the works now for a while.
Yeah, if I'd have caught that, I mean, like, no disrespect to Banks, sounds awful. Don't take this the wrong way. But like, I mean, when I've been watching all of these games, because like with everything else that's been going on in my life, I would like catch the games on VOD, so I didn't see a lot of the interviews and the sort of ancillary content around the around the show. So I missed a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, I guess at that point, once you take away Nitro as IGL, I've got to be honest. He's always been a hit and miss AWPer for me.
Well, the thing is, he hasn't been primary opping for this team for a while. It's been mostly Naf or Stewie that's been doing opping. On T sides, it's been mostly Stewie on T sides. But it's really been a coin toss between Naf or Stewie, depending on the map and the role they're playing. So yeah, it's really just been a coin toss on who's opping, which is a weird thing to begin with for most teams. Like, obviously most tier 1 teams don't do that, but I think especially in the online era of CS, we keep harping back on it. It seems kind of lame, but where things are going to be more inconsistent, whereas on LAN things are a lot more consistent, whereas online now you're also rotating your opper around, whereas normally on LAN, if you're switching between NAF and Stewie opping or Nitro sometimes or whatever the fuck, on LAN at least there's a lot more variables you can control. Whereas online, it's like this random tier 3 North American MDL player might just wide swing and two-shot two of us, and for everybody in the chat who has never played on LAN, the difference between CSGO on LAN and online is unbelievably significant.
Yeah, it's
insane. And when you try to explain it to the average moron on Reddit, it's hard to like get it across of how different it is. But lag compensation in CSGO makes such a big difference to how you play T sides. And with the game right now being incredibly T sided on its own, just because of the economy and how that works online, that's even more significant. It's even more significant because of how the peaker's advantage works, and how you can wide swing angles that normally you couldn't. And
that's the peaker's advantage Valorant's going to completely get rid of, by the way.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure. Peaker, Valorant is going to be the ones who just solve that issue. Yeah, Valorant's a great game. Super, super great competitively.
Loving it.
Good company.
Loving it.
No, great. I'm not even going to get into that right now.
No,
but
let's not.
Regardless, let's just not. But yeah, so the fact that everything's online right now and how different the game plays online versus on LAN, I find it unbelievably stupid that Liquid's making a roster change right now. I think that's unbelievably stupid because and like I said, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I rate Grim super highly as a player, as a person. I love Grim. I played on a team with him. I think he's incredibly skilled, incredibly talented. He has a super bright future in Counterstrike. But if you're Liquid, like just looking at it from Liquid management point of view or a player on Liquid point of view, you have no fucking clue how he's going to perform when you have to go play at LAN events. And not just play at LAN events, by the way. You're Team Liquid. You're expected to win LAN events, not just play at LAN events. You are expected to win those events. So you have no clue how he's going to respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, my gut feeling is going to be like, I think it's almost reminiscent of when they started throwing this like kind of super team together in the first instance, and we sort of just didn't know. Like how all these like potentially explosive talents were going to synergize, and in the end, to get them to the point where it did work, it did take somebody like Nitro, moving into unfamiliar roles and unfamiliar territory to kind of give everyone the space and the guidance and the clarity so that they could go on to be the best team in the world when they did the Grand Slam. But Grim's it's a very different thing. This is essentially like, when Stewie got his big break after Splice, it's reminiscent of that. This is a guy like we don't really know where his ceiling's going to be and how he's gonna handle the responsibility of being in a top team with a different kind of pressure.
There's parts of that are true. I think it's reminiscent in the sense of like what you just said, where you don't know how he's going to handle the pressure. But I think that Stewie and Grim are completely different people.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I don't really know Grim's personality all that well.
Yeah. I'll tell you, they're completely different people. But even regardless of that, at the time when Stewie joined Cloud9, all of the, there wasn't the scene wasn't what it is now. There wasn't like, because right now everything's on LAN. If COVID, of course, COVID is a fucking thing, and we have to just keep bringing it up. But because right now everything's online. But generally, the Counterstrike scene is right now. If you're a tier 1 team, you do not play online games. Before COVID happened, I bet Team Liquid didn't play an online match in almost 2 years. I bet. Like, obviously, I'm just fucking throwing shit out there, but it had been a long ass time since Team Liquid had played an online game. That just didn't happen for the past however many since ESL Pro League went on LAN. There was no online games that were played. So it's like the scene is completely different now. And I think that Cloud9 wasn't in the situation Liquid is in now, where just like what you had brought up earlier, Liquid last year won the Grand Slam. They won however many events in a row. They were they were the best team in the world for months and months and months and months. Cloud9 never had that at any point in their history. They had fluke wins here and there. They had, like, okay, we did really well. And don't get me wrong, in North America, when everything was online, when Shroud, Scudoodle, when those guys were on the team, they dominated the North American online scene, but they were never the best team in the world. Liquid was the best team in the world, right? If you're a Liquid fan right now, if you're a Team Liquid Counterstrike fan, you are holding them to that expectation. At least I would be, right? So I think it's a different situation from a fan point of view than when Stewie joined Cloud9 versus right now Grim joining Team Liquid. I think as players they're different, and I think it's also a different situation from a fan point of view for what you expect of the team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I also will have questions. I know Stewie's done it before, so it's not like a mad surprise to me. But integrating a young player with their own personality, and also like you've got a big ego, not in a bad way, just you need it to be who Stewie is, and you're the in-game leader, and you're trying to integrate all of these new parts. I think that's a very different prospect to, let's say, somebody else had left and it was Nitro that was kind of going to be there to like facilitate Grim's entry into the team. I mean, I'll give Nitro his due. He always struck me as a very level-headed guy, and certainly a lot 100%. More mature than the average Counter-Strike player.
Nick is 100%. I think that if you're bringing Grim into a team where Nitro is the in-game leader, I think he has a way better chance of succeeding than he does with insert any other Team Liquid player right now. Not even Stewie. Just pick any player on Liquid and make them the in-game leader right now. Grim has a worse chance of succeeding than he does if Nitro is the in-game leader. That's just the reality of the situation, in my opinion, of course, because I think that Nick is unbelievably selfless as a player, and not only is he selfless as a player, but he's actually capable of performing while being a selfless player, right? There's lots of players who are selfless and they're just shit, and it's just like, okay, whatever, right? Like, it's just some shit player being selfless, but he makes the other players on his team play well. That's fine. And then there's the in-game leaders like Glaive, like Nitro, who are the in-game leaders and also capable of contributing, right? They're not just the in-game leader. They're also a player on the team.
Yeah.
And so I think that is a huge difference. And Nick, for forever, for going back 4 or 5 years ago, way back when, Nick has always been a guy who doesn't play as well online as he does on LAN. He just has been. It's always been Liquid's tendency. So I remember way back when, like it must have been 2016 when we were playing an online game. I was on Splice at the time. And we're playing an online game. We're in the UK because we were at one of the Gfinity lands, and we had to play an ESL Pro League match against Liquid online, and we beat them. from the UK playing on North American servers. And it's like this has always been their thing. They're just not that great online compared to on LAN. So I think it's unbelievably stupid of Team Liquid to be making a roster change, even though, like I said many times, I want to keep reiterating it because people are gonna fucking twist my words. I'm super happy for Grim, and I think he deserves this chance. But I think it's stupid for Team Liquid to be making this move during the online era of Counterstrike.
I think
you have to wait for LANs to come back.
I like watched the Liquid 112 video he put out where he like, fair play to him. He's learning. He's evolving.
Is that Joka or is that Steve Arneset? Which one is that? I know they're both
Steve Arneset.
Okay.
He actually didn't deny it this time, which I'm very happy about, because usually he fucking just flat out denies this shit. And tries to like get it over the line, and then comes out and, you know, says, "Oh, hey, yeah, we did call the journalist a liar and impugned their reputation to our millions of fans around the world, but yeah, we were just joking about that." You know, he's done it. He's done it to me many times.
Just a prank,
yeah, just a prank. It's fine. But he actually embraced it, but then said absolutely nothing in the video about like why it was happening. And in DK's report, it alluded to that apparently the other players had sort of arrived at the conclusion. It kind of like wasn't like Nick saying, "Hey guys, you know, like it probably is time for me to go. I understand it." Like, it was more like other people were kind of giving him a gentle nudge.
Yeah, I messaged Nick on Facebook earlier, and I'm not going to get into any details of any personal messages or anything like that. But I did message him. I was like, "Hey, man, hope you stick around. Hope you whatever." And I don't have any inside info or anything like that, but I feel like there's no way he just like stepped down. Like, there's no way he just decided to stop playing for Team Liquid, right? Like, I just can't believe that. And like I said, I haven't talked to him about it. I don't know if like he really just did decide all of a sudden to stop playing for Team Liquid, but I just can't believe that's the case.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like, you know, something he would do. Like, it's and nor would you want to do it. So yeah, I guess it's kind of come out of left field. I mean, you know, I'll be honest though, it must have hit them hard, the last few results that they had sort of against some of their, you know, nearest rivals in the last few tournaments that they competed in. Which again, online, yada yada yada. But if you look at the teams they were losing to, like, it's quite clear where they're at in the pecking order. You know, like, they've lost to Furia, they've lost to Evil Geniuses, they've lost to Gen G. This isn't something that's happening infrequently either. These teams have beaten them in multiple series lately across the past few tournaments that there's been in NA.
As you like read out those team names, though, I'm just like, obviously no one on the stream can see me right now, but I just have this big smile across my face. It's like, oh yeah, Liquid lost to Furia online, did they? Okay. Liquid lost to Gen G online, did they? Okay. Like,
yeah,
in my mind right now, I'm just like, yeah, of course they did. Like, this is to be expected. Like, in my mind, like, what I'm thinking of, like, when you say that out loud, if there was like LAN events and online events going on at the same time, and it was like, oh, Liquid lost to Furia 2-0. Oh, but that was during the online tournaments. It'd be like, oh, okay, that doesn't mean anything then, right? And it'd be, Liquid lost 2-0 to Gen G in this series, but that was online. It'd be like, oh, well, okay, so that doesn't mean anything then. Like, if you were playing at a LAN event, like if the next event was a LAN event and you were talking about from an analyst perspective, if you were talking about series and you were like, they lost to this team in these series, blah, 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 you would have to specify that this was online versus this was on LAN. And if something was online, you almost wouldn't even want to bring it up because it wouldn't matter. Normally it wouldn't matter. But because everything is online right now, it matters because that's the only thing you have to go on.
Of course, yeah.
So it makes sense that it matters because that's the only thing you have. So if you're Liquid and your players on Liquid and you're just losing games all the time to teams you shouldn't feel you're losing against, you don't think about the fact that, oh, it's okay, guys, maybe in 6 months from now we'll get to play on LAN again. You know, you don't think about that. You just think, oh my God, we're losing. We need to fix this. Why are we losing? And you try to fix it, even if it's not necessarily the best choice.